Hi, I'm Greg Hunter, and this is an update to the Iran nuclear standoff and the European debt crisis. Let's start with Iran. We had these meetings last week that were supposed to avoid World War III over Iran's nuclear programs. They want to have nuclear energy, and the West thinks they want to have nuclear weapons. The meetings ended last week the same way they did the month before, and that is with zero concessions. Nothing happened. And the only thing they agreed on is another meeting next month in Russia. Here's the new wrinkle. Apparently, the Israelis had a secret agreement. I call it a secret agreement because I don't think a lot of people knew this. To agree to not attack Iran over their nuclear program until after the November presidential elections. That's a new flash to me. And so, big news flash number one, they had a secret agreement not to attack until after the November elections. And now here's the other big news flash. They've taken that off the table. Apparently they're not happy with the meetings and no concessions and another meeting and more. They're not happy at all. And they're not happy because reportedly the Iranians continue to enrich near weapons grade uranium. One report says they nearly doubled their stockpile since February. Now, when I say near weapons grade, it doesn't take much to turn it into weapons grade uranium. And one report over the weekend, and one expert says, yeah, they think Iran has enough nuclear material for 5 nuclear weapons. Now, Iran has repeatedly said that this is for the peaceful production of energy. Iran also is negotiating at a table with countries who, all of which have nuclear weapons, with the exception of Germany, and they have nuclear power. So Iran, of course, says, well, we'd at least like to have nuclear power. Another wrinkle that happened was apparently the Iranians reneged on a deal where they would allow international inspectors in to take a look at their nuclear sites, and they've reneged and said, well, you can look at our sites, but you can't look at our military sites. So this weekend was not a good weekend at all for, as we are careening closer and inching closer and closer towards war. And of course, the Israelis have to publicly announce that they're going to take they're putting the military option back on the table before election, which I never knew was off the table. Because if they do attack, one of the first places the Iranians are going to attack after, Tel Aviv and Israel is the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, which is on the southern side of the Persian Gulf. The whole thing's a mess. It's a stalemate, and who knows how long the Israelis will wait to attack. And on one last note, the Iranians have repeatedly also said if they feel they're going to be attacked, they may strike first. So, a story that I think is totally underreported. Oh, and also Leon Panetta this weekend, who is the defense secretary, said they were ready to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. The whole thing seems very ratcheted up, and it seems like we're inching closer and closer to some sort of global war, World War III. The European debt crisis. It's been reported over the weekend that Greece is on the verge of financial collapse. They had an election last month. They have an election this coming month in June, next month, where they're going to decide whether the anti-austerity people, the anti-bailout people are going to win, or the people who want to stay in the euro and, have all this austerity and make everybody pay this money back to the bankers. They want to see if they have that or not. But listen, they may not get there to the election next month. They are on the verge of collapse. There are many people who want to keep them in the European Union. They're afraid that Greece will be the first domino to fall. That there are people that think that after Greece goes down, there's Portugal, there's Italy, there's Spain and Italy, the two big 1-2 punch there in the European Union. I mean, that's a punch in the head and a punch in the stomach. Spain and Italy have been rocked with banking downgrades by the dozens. This is not just a sovereign debt crisis. This is a solvency crisis for the banks. The banks hold a lot of this sovereign debt. What are the bonds of Greece worth now, or Spain, or Italy, or Portugal? And what would happen if Greece leaves and the other countries say, we want to shed this debt too? Why it means something to Americans is that U.S. banks are exposed in the form of derivatives, some things like credit default swaps and interest rate swaps. We saw what happened when J.P. Morgan got a pie in the face with the interest rate swaps in European debt. Other big banks are doing the same thing. So, there are other people in the European Union that say, you know what, no, stop. We should not keep these guys in. We should not keep bailing them out. We should restore hope. We should restore democracy. That's what people like Nigel Farage says, who is a member of the European Parliament. He says we should restore hope and democracy, let them go back to their drachma, let them be innovative. Yes, there'll be inflation. Yes, times will be rough, but, let them go, let their democracy and those people rule themselves, let them go back to their own currency. And, it may not be such a bad idea. You saw what happened in Iceland. Now, Iceland wasn't in the European Union, but they had a financial meltdown, and they didn't pay the banks back. And now, it's been reported, they're on their way out of this thing. They're doing pretty well. Of course, the banks want to get paid back, and that's what this is about. The bankers. They installed a banker in charge of Greece when there was an elected prime minister. They charged a banker in Italy when there was an elected prime minister. The bankers want to get paid back. The big question this weekend, will Greece be the first domino that sinks the European Union and ultimately could sink some very big U.S. banks? We shall see. Finally, Memorial Day. I want to say happy Memorial Day, but it's really not a happy day. It's a solemn day. Memorial Day is to honor the war dead of the U.S. and to honor our servicemen and women who have paid the ultimate price and also paid a price in their time, their limbs, their mental health, and all that. So instead of saying happy Memorial Day, I want to say have a peaceful and heartfelt Memorial Day. America respects our veterans, we cherish our veterans, and we support our veterans. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com.